This is Peter Zalewski with the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'll give you a quick video while I walk and try to beat the light. This is a Coconut Grove Metro Rail station. It's just opened up. The reason I bring that up is I'm going to be doing a condo tour front beat I-95. Bear with me. There we go. Made it. So I'm going to be doing a condo walking tour of Coconut Grove. Why am I going to be doing that? Well, we just came out with a report today that Coconut Grove is the best condo market in all of South Florida. By the way, if you're wondering why am I wearing a jacket, it's a little bit humid. Well, by the way, it's hurricane season. Day one of hurricane season starts off in June and it ends sometime in I think it's November or so. But anyways, we're at that moment where it could piss down rain at any time. So I figured I would go out, get some steps in, and check out the Coconut Grove area for a potential tour. I like to do these walking tours. We go around the different areas and sort of check out what's going on in the neighborhood. A lot of times, if you drive a neighborhood, you don't really get a great perspective about a marketplace. But if you actually walk it, then it makes a lot more sense. Let me give you a little perspective. I'm gonna change the video. Here we go. Now you can kind of see it where we're starting. This is 27 in Miami, and that's going to be US 1. That's the road that takes you down the Key West if you don't really know Miami. There's a subway stop here called Coconut Grove Station, and here's some mixed-use product that's just gone up. You can see a lot of it is rentals. This road basically will take you 27th. It will take you to the bay down that way where you can see some condos in the distance. And then it'll take you all the way up to Broward County. I think it turns into 441, if memory serves me correct, at some point once you get into Broward County. So let me go back to the regular camera. There we go. So I want to get a sense about some of these condos. They tend to be scattered here. This is actually one of the first areas of Miami that was developed. There's a sailor who came down here, Kirk Monroe. He settled it, got some stuff going, and this area has always sort of maintained its focus on foliage, trees, kind of I'd say a bohemian type of community. People tend to be maybe overeducated, tend to have a lot of cash, and they're very protective of the trees and the old style. So it can be fun, but increasingly what we've seen condos come into this marketplace. Here, I'll give you a little glimpse of the lifestyle. There we go. We got an open bar. People tying one on. Traditionally on a Sunday, they call it Sunday Fun Day. And as a result of the Sunday Fun Day, people go out, they have some drinks, and normally by about 3-4 o'clock, they're kind of how many sheets to the wind? They're pretty much gone, and because they're gone, they're able to go home, pass out, and wake up Monday morning and go have a little sleep and be able to go to work. So you can see some of the new development or some of the restructuring and stuff going on here. Kind of doesn't look like much, but everybody comes here for this reason. Real focus on the trees, the foliage. Again, you can see in the distance, you can see some of the encroaching towers that are coming up in and around here. That road we crossed over, that's what basically delineated, let's call it Miami from Coconut Grove. Coconut Grove is a neighborhood of Miami, but like I said, it's kind of an interesting place. You can see some of the architecture that's likely to get replaced sometime soon. We got some buildings here. We don't know if it'll be torn down, but really the focus is on probably replacing some of the stuff at some moment in time. The issue is that the dirt is simply so expensive to be here in the Grove. This is a real destination for those people with boats. So as I'm continuing on here, I'm going to get to the bay. And as I get to the bay, there's a place called Dinner Key Marina. So I'm told it's called Dinner Key Marina because if you left, I think it was Key Largo, which is the first key to the south, and you started sailing in the morning at sunrise, you'd arrive up here at dinner time, hence the name Dinner Key Marina or Dinner Key. And then the city's gone ahead and opened up a marina there. But here it's got that real nautical type of feel. Like I said, trees everywhere, but also towers. Here we go. We're getting a better glimpse of some of them. There you go. You can kind of see in the distance some of the new ones that are in the process of going up. We're still a little bit away from it, but want to give you a sense. If you don't know South Florida, one of the locals hangouts everybody goes to is called Big Daddy or Flanagan's. This is a place where South Florida food, Tucker, if you will, if you were in the UK or Australia, and everything's reasonable, it's chilled, it's fine, they got great prices, and they just kind of do what they do. By the way, they are publicly traded. So it's a publicly traded company. It's called Big Daddy's Corporation, I think. Name of the restaurant chain is called Flanagan's. So let's see if we can get a little glimpse. Yeah, there we go. We got a little glimpse of Flanagan's. That is kind of like the outpost for locals here in the Grove. So we're coming up to Bird Avenue and also Bird Road. You get, again, another little glimpse. Some of the condos. This is a project that was built last go around before the Great Recession. During the Great Recession, this tower went sideways, and a client of mine, I had nothing to do with it, but a client of mine was able to actually buy it in what's called bulk. Bulk is when you buy more than 10 units in a building. Most times, you're buying the entire project. So we can see some of this smaller product in and around here. They got the telltale sign that I was talking about on some of my tours. Look at the balconies of a building. You can see a balcony that is not glass. Chances are it's an old building that's going to be in need of one of these inspections that everybody's talking about in Florida, and or it's a rental. Cement is the cheapest, generally speaking, and you can see a lot of cement on that particular one. And then from there it'd be rail, and then finally glass. Older buildings, what they'll do is when they do their necessary upgrades, part of the upgrades, they always have to do something with the balcony. And then when they do something with the balcony, they normally opt to turn it into glass because of curb appeal. There you go. You can see some of this. This is all circa like 2002, maybe late 80s, late 90s. You can see the product type. And then in the distance, you'll see much more expensive product type. So the Coconut Grove condo market came out #1 in South Florida. I would argue one of the reasons is they kind of have controlled development that does occur. The community is actively involved at pushing back on anything and everything. And as a result of that, it tends to be higher quality type of products. That ultimately is going to be your end user. But you do have some of this older stuff that's around here. This is a rental. That rental, most likely, this will be replaced at some point with a condo tower. Why? Because, it's the entry point into Coconut Grove. Like I said, 27th. You can see some of the newer stuff that's coming online. We have one across the street. Let me see if I can cross over there and take a look. Here you go. Here's a nice glimpse of a streetscape in Coconut Grove. See these beautiful poincianas and just the mature trees. That's some more here with Spanish moss that's hanging. Yeah, and we got these rental towers. These rental towers are all going to go. There's no way that they're gonna last. Question is which cycle. Depending on where you think we are in the cycle, you can kind of make your own decision. But here's kind of a perfect example of what's happening. We got this project over here. You can see, I don't know if you see that the signage, that's called boarding. We got the signage for this product, okay? Opus is what it says. Delivery in the summer of 2026, all right? So that's going to be that's a teardown. They're going to replace it with a new project, 12 units, 2 penthouses, 3 and 4 bedrooms, 1,900 square feet, starting at 2.5 million a door. Then across the street, we're going to see another one called a Lincoln. This is the Lincoln, and the Lincoln, detail-wise, I'll let you know as I get closer. And then right next to it, across the street, is another one that went up recently. In the distance, you see two towers. They call them the Twisting Sisters. That's a condo project. And then we got something called Mr. C. Mr. C is a project that is, I think there's a condo hotel aspect to it. We look in the distance. We're going to see um, Grove House. Next to that is the Grosvenor, and then next to that is an office tower. Anybody who's ever been to Miami or Coconut Grove, I'm coming up on Tiger Tail. Tiger Tail is where I'm headed, and then ultimately I'll get to Bayshore Drive. There you go. So here's a nice juxtaposition. We got the old Grove, all tear down. All this stuff is tear down. You can see the corridor. It's all tear down. Go across, tear down, tear down, tear down, and then we see one of the newer products. And we got that Lincoln project across the street. And then we see this one, Opus, or Meta, or I'm not even sure what the name is. Opus might be the developer. A lot of times when you get in the Grove is you get niche builders. Now, there's not really a lot of units. You do have some where Related Group will come in here and Terra will come in here. Two of the prominent developers right about now. But a lot of the stuff is infill type of development. Okay, so the Lincoln, terrible name for the Coconut Grove. It definitely doesn't go with, the general area. Let's see who the developers are. I've seen this stuff before, but a lot of times there's so much due diligence involved, it's not even worth really looking. Sometimes they go forward, sometimes they don't. All right, the Lincoln Coconut Grove, 1 to 4 bedrooms, blah, blah, blah. Developed by Lori and Element Development. Never heard of them. Probably got to be new. They got some cash. They parked it here. They figure they're going to be a developer. They can make a lot of money, so they're probably pulling the trigger. Then we got something called Glass House. This thing took forever and ever and ever to go up. It was announced probably about 4 or 5 years ago. You can see it's not very large. What is it? 1, 2, about 4 or 5 story structure. And then next to it is a teardown site. So they'll be tearing this down. You can bet everything. They'll be replacing it with a condo tower. This building over here, this gray one, it's actually built as an office building. Market did some stuff, group bought it, and they repositioned it as a condo. Pretty interesting from my perspective. So coming up to this circle, I'm gonna keep the video going until we get to about Bayshore Drive, which will be right on the bay. You get a glimpse here. You can see Mr. C. Again, another terrible name. I guess Mr. C is somebody important, or maybe if you're old enough, you remember something called Fantasy Island. I think somebody was called Mr. C. But here we go. Here's Mr. C. There's another one. This is an old ass office building. And then this is what they call the Twisting Sisters. And right in front of that will be another condo project. And then here we have the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton has condo and condo hotels. And we got the Grove Park Tower. This is a related project. Related put it up. It's a white building with a floor-to-ceiling glass. Again, what do you got right across the street? You got this type of product. So it's an interesting juxtaposition going on right now. We have another tower going up on the other side of this little rental building. A lot of people they talk about terminations. What I always say, when you know if a building is going to get terminated, that's when you can recycle a condo. One of the tells is look at the balconies. Okay, so if you look at this balcony, you can see these are cement. That tells you it's old, it's out of date, it's obsolete. Another tell is, does it have surface parking, meaning you park the car and you walk right in without going up a step or anything. And if I hold this high enough, you can see this is surface parking. So 2 out of 3. The other element I highly recommend is under 100 units. Why? Because it's like herding cats trying to bring everybody together. And in trying to bring everybody together, it can get very complicated. So I would tell you, I don't know if any of this is in play right now, but this definitely looks like a termination site, most likely. Okay, here's a good shot of the Ritz. Then we got these Twisting Sisters. I forget what they're even called. It's like Grove at Grand Bay or the Grand at Grove Bay or something. Some kind of generic name. You got this beautiful tree at the roundabout. And you got the Mr. C. You got the failed office building that they turned into a condo. You got what I would call this termination site. And then we're going to have, I think it's called the Well. This is done, I think, being done by Terra. This one's being done by Terra. Let's see here. They bought an old hotel. Yeah, the Well. What do they call it? The Well. Well, Coconut Grove. Yeah, I keep hearing about this. So this would be the site. It used to be an old shitty hotel. It was a rental, then they converted it into a hotel, like a Marriott or extended stay or something. And now the Terror Group has come in. They purchased this. They took it down, and they're going forward with it. I saw them moving some dirt. I'm assuming they must have been able to pre-sell. Yeah, here we go. Terra. Then you got the usual. You got Architectonica. They're the ones who did the project. That was in the opening scene of Miami Vice with the palm tree in the middle. That's the one that kind of put them on the map. Now they kind of, they're pretty much part of the furniture now, if you will. So you're going to have the well. We'll come up here really quickly. Hopefully, you get the sense with the trees. Oh, what a real cool area this is. Well, I mean, it probably was a cool area. Once all these towers go up, it's probably going to be a little bit more challenging to see what it's like. Eclectic area if you've never been. Used to be a real vibrant area, but that's because you had a lot of boozers, you had a lot of drinkers, you get a lot of students from University of Miami. They come here on Thursday nights. Thursday night is like night, and some of the bars, they get a lot of audience. Probably about good 10 years ago or so, the city commissioner who represents this area, he pushed forward to restrict the closing times for the bars. And once that kind of happened, the area kind of fell on hard times. Has now been repositioning itself. And, I guess it's hot. It's like I said, our index, Miami Condo Clip Index, ranks at #1 in all of South Florida. That's based on 23 markets, one being South Florida, the other 22 being submarkets. You can see a good shot of the Ritz-Carlton. And then here is the Park Tower. We're going to hook around the corner. You'll get a sense to what we're talking about. But anyways, I'm in the early stages of putting together the research to be doing a walking tour. We typically do these walking tours on Saturdays. They go for about 3 hours. I give you a handout of. Well, let me switch this. So I do these walking. Oh, yeah, here you go. Here's something worth seeing. So the Relay Group moved its headquarters, and this is their new headquarters. They used to be down on Brickell, not Brickell, but Biscayne Boulevard. And so they moved it here. George Perez, the chairman, he's probably slowing down a little bit. He's got his kids taking over the business, and he lives in a grove, and basically probably just wants to not have to commute and be close to the office. So here, this is a good shot. This will give you some take. What we're talking about here. What are we seeing here? We're seeing mangoes. It's almost mango season, right around mango season. This is a regular thing. If you like foliage, you like trees, you like that damp feeling, especially in the summer where you smell the fruit trees and things like that. Here you go. Here's the Park Grove. It's 3 towers, but the Grove is an interesting area. You can see here some of the older architecture, real kind of funky neighborhood. Never really experienced real booms. This one went up probably about 6 years ago. You can see the 3 towers for Park Grove. And now we're going to see some of the older products. Here we go. We got a nice little glimpse in here through the trees. You'll see some of these older ones. These tend to be lower density buildings. What do we got here? We got surface parking, perfect for a termination. I don't know what the unit count is there. Something to consider, though, when you're looking at some of these. Get a little glimpse of some of the older product, primarily 80s types of stuff. A lot of the stuff was put up during the cocaine cowboy era, 80s, somewhat into the 90s. There you go. Here's a good glimpse. Got a good glimpse there of what's going on. And then in front of us, we're going to see some of the obsolete product. You see these balconies. When I get a little bit closer, I'll slow down so it doesn't bounce. But give you an example. Again, rail balcony typically means it's old or it needs to go through a renovation. This one's recently gone through its renovation, but yet they stuck with the rail balconies. I think it's an architectural statement, if you will. That's typically a tell that it's in trouble. And then the other thing that's a tell is surface parking. You see surface parking, those are the buildings that, they're prime for a termination. We're coming up on another one. You can kind of check out how old this stuff is. 70s, 80s, 90s. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see that balcony. I can't really zoom in. In the distance, you're going to see a building with like blue covering. They're working on the facade. That is the famous Mutiny Hotel. That's the place that was legendary during the cocaine cowboy era, where everybody would get together. It was the Casablanca. You'd have the feds, you'd have the drug guys, money launderers, hookers. Everybody would be in there. Buddy of mine wrote a book called Hotel Scarface, based on that building, that little orange one with the blue top. I don't know if you can make it out. Then you'll see a taller one that's white and blue. Yeah, so that's a condo hotel. This gives you a little glimpse of the Grove. I haven't really run the numbers thus far on the Grove, other than what we're doing with the index. Let's see if we can get a downtown shots. Here you go. This will sort of show you into the downtown area. If you were to continue on about a block and a half or two, you would you get into what was primarily the main Grove. Okay, so what do we got here? This old one I was referring to is called the Yacht Harbor. I've never actually been in it. And this one here will be Grove Towers. That's the one with the balconies that are a little funky. And right here we go. There's a little glimpse of it. And we're coming to Bayshore Drive. Bayshore Drive effectively will take you all the way up. It turns into Biscayne Boulevard. Once you get over the river, it also turns into Brickell Avenue. So down here is Bayshore Drive, then it becomes Brickell Avenue, and then it becomes Biscayne Boulevard. They're probably not officially the same street, but if you were just keep going without turning, you're going to ride on all three of them. Here we go. Get a nice little glimpse of the Grove. And check that out. Then we got the other area. Let's see if I can point you out that Mutiny building. You see our little marina. There's a crosswalk. That guy didn't want to stop. There's a port. So if you're ever going to walk in front of a car, you don't walk in front of an old Hyundai or Honda. You walk in front of a Porsche, like I just did. All right, here we go. Here's a good glimpse of what we got going on in the Grove. So you got this old product. I don't want to know what their maintenance fees are. It's going to be obscene. Then we have the old Mutiny, the structure that was it was a go-go place of cocaine cowboy era, lots of drugs, lots of federal investigations, all kinds of stuff. That building supposedly is coming down. They're going to be replacing it with a condo. That's what I'm being told. In the distance, you have a condo hotel. And then right here where the road's turning, it's called Peacock Park. Peacock Park is famous because there was a Peacock family. They set up one of the first hotels in Coconut Grove. So as you came to the Grove, and let me sort of show you how the trail goes. Downtown Miami is that way. So as you wandered over, you would come here, and the Peacock family, they owned right where the road turns to the right. They ran a hotel out of there, and then the downtown area was just going to be to the right of that. But we can also see the marina. This is where you have boat slips. This is where you come here on a weekend, especially a holiday weekend, and you get to see a true sense of Miami as everybody sort of navigates, try to get their hands on, or try to get in the queue to launch their boat. So we just cut through this parking lot. Give you one last little glimpse before I shut this down. But if you go on my back, I'm not seeing it yet. Come on. All right, there we go. We're cutting through the parking lot. This is the public boat launch. City of Miami provides it. There you go. We got a truck trying to pull its boat up on the ramp. Inevitably, what happens is these trucks, they slide into the water. You got $100,000 trucks that are basically damaged forever. There you go. There's a good shot. You get a good glimpse. See how close they are? Sometimes right at the base, the trucks will slip in and turns into a shit show of an afternoon. But we got Dinner Key. Remember, you leave Key Largo at sunrise. Back in the day, you'd sail, and ultimately you get here to Dinner Key Marina. And then one last little glimpse. Now, by the way, all these boats you're seeing, these sailboats, these people are all living off what's called a hook. Before, you used to be able to just set up some kind of mooring on your own and live there for free. City didn't charge you anything. And what you would do is you would have a little like a little skiff, a little what do you want to call it? A little motorboat. and you go back and forth. So if you needed to shower, you would go to like a health club or something. You have a locker there, but you live on there, and it basically was free. And now they put in place some sort of structure. This used to be where all the shrimpers, the people who went out shrimping and stuff. This is where a lot of them used to live. So this has got a real trader mentality. This general area. So I go back. There we go. I'm back. So Grove is a fascinating place, and it is the strongest market in South Florida, condo market wise. As we go into June, which is the second month of the summer buying season. And what does that mean? That means if you're a seller, you are probably going to be able to be patient with unloading your product. If you are a buyer, it's probably not an area to go to if you want to get any kind of discount. Now, the flip side is, what is the worst market? Worst market's going to be Sunny House Beach. Sunny House Beach is really in shitter. Um, what else is close to it? Hollywood Hallandale. So Sunny House Beach is going to be northeast Miami-Dade County on the Barrier Island. Then just north of it is a place called Hollywood and Hallandale. That's going to be the second worst place in all of South Florida. And then number three is going to be Aventura. Aventura is just to the west on the mainland of both of those communities. So it seems like northeast Miami-Dade County and southeast Broward County are really the condo markets that are struggling. Why would that be? Well, in Sunny House Beach's case, it's the fact that they put up so much product and the pricing is really out of whack, extremely out of whack. Hollywood Hallandale area, as well as Aventura, the problem is that the product is so damn old. Right now, if the building is 30 years or older, a lot of people won't touch it because of everything that happened with Surfside and all the requirements that are now put in place. So, if you're looking for where the meltdown is going to start to occur, at least as of now, going into June of 2025, that's the area. Aventura on the mainland, Sunny Isles Beach on the Barrier Island in northeast Miami-Dade County, and then just north of there, Hollywood and Hallandale. So I'm going to collect some information. I'm going to get a sense of this. Watch for some kind of tour of Coconut Grove. We'll probably be doing it. We'll be rolling them out. We tend to do them on Saturdays. They're walking towards about a 3-hour walk. We have some stops along the way. I hand out information about the market, help you to analyze it. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, it'll give you a jump start if you want to go ahead and play the game however you want to play it. You don't want to use a realtor. Or if you're a realtor and you don't know whether or not to get a listing, a lot of stuff is found in the numbers. People don't necessarily rely on the numbers. I'm somebody who looks at the numbers first before I go out and do anything. So let me give you one last glimpse before I sign off. Let's see if I can get I'm not an avid user of live. I'm starting to get into it. So I'm going to give you one final glimpse of Coconut Grove. What we're talking about. This is a park. We'll continue on. You'll see some of the towers that are in the process here. You'll see the boat club. That's a public boat club. You see the building is kind of like it's pitched at the top, and we got all these boats. And in the distance, you might be able to make out some pinkish types of buildings. That's actually Coral Gables. That'll be the Coral Gables market. And then we come back around and we have all our little sailboats. So, hope that gives you a glimpse of what's going on. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I want to wish you a happy hurricane season start. And you like to walk, you like to talk condos, you like to check out markets, watch for our walking tours. I've been doing it since 2014. As the market really starts to change, we'll probably do bus tours. Well, we used to do bus tours. We fill like a 55-seater, the same type of bus you would take from like Miami to New York. We fill it with people and just kind of drive them around. What we do is we just, we pull information, we share the information, and then it leads to consulting and it leads to other types of stuff, it's for witness work, stuff like that. So anyways, have yourself a good Sunday. Hope you had a little taste of Coconut Grove, and I hope wherever you are, it goes well. And more information on any of the stuff we're doing, miamicondo.club, miamicondo.club. Happy Sunday.